I need to look at it as two things. You are really, really busy, or I haven't answered your question yet, and you need me to validate. So when you go to your leader, as you keep saying, that you don't look dumb, as Jeff would say. So when you keep saying buying time, as a salesperson, what should I be challenging you on or asking you on? Because references, as Craig said, I'll give you good references.
Well, I would say there's a couple things going on there. First of all, they may not know what the hell they're doing, and they need time to digest, figure it out, so that they can answer with an educated understanding of what's going on. They want to seem busy to you, and this is 99.9% of HR people, right? The 99.9% of HR people just want to seem like they're always busy and always overwhelmed because we've been taught that way. That's how you build your silos. Say you're always too busy to do everything, and nobody wants to help. It's just a mentality mantra that's been driven since day one in HR school. The other thing is that they may understand a little bit, but they don't get it, and they need to talk to somebody in their own language. And you may not be able to help with that. Because again, it's about the languages when you're speaking to them. I've seen some people in sales, even brokers, where they've gotten their PHR as PHR, which is certifications behind HR, and they're very successful. Why? We understand those initiatives. We have mutual respect for you now because you understand our world. There's a reason why ADP spends so much money partnering with SHRM. They want HR people to know, hey, we understand. We're there with you all the time. So not every HR person has all the knowledge that they need to do to make an informed decision, and they don't want to tell you they don't know. And so they may be buying time just for that. And they might be checking things out, or they're just plain old scared.
You know, the other thing too is and it always amazes me, you see this in the new people, we go through how many classes before we even get a grasp of what we're selling, right? How much training have we had on BPO, and we're still getting our arms around it. So we go out and we just vomit all this information, and then we expect that HR person in that hour or that 2 hours to make a decision to represent us, whether it's them or a CFO or anything. I'm always amazed because it took us how long to get to this point. We've got to make sure that they're at the same point we are, and it's not going to happen in an hour. So to your point, I'm going to push it off until I can finally get my head around it, and that's why we're going back and back and back. You've got to work on making sure that understanding's there.
Agreed.
I was going to say the same thing about that when you've been around a little while, I feel that there's multiple times I've gone through a sales process with a client, and my dad is an HR director, my sister's an HR director. I mean, they have stuff that happens internally. There have been numerous times where I've done my due diligence with the client, gone through the sales process, and it stalls. And sometimes they'll be honest with me and tell me, we've got 4 other projects. I have to work on those projects right now. I had a deal that I had pushed for a year ago, fiscal, to close, that called me up, a month before the end of this fiscal and said, okay, ready now. And I hadn't done another demo in 11 months, but I had done all my due diligence a year ago, and they just had a bunch of stuff they had to take care of, and I had to wait. I had to wait for them to get ready, and then they were like, let's go, we're ready now.
I think human nature, when I do that, my first thing is, I want to empathize or sympathize with you and say, man, if you're really busy, what can I do to help you? Do we need to go out to coffee and maybe we can talk through my solution and maybe in a less structured environment to ask the questions? Because I find, as you said, clients don't want to ever ask you anything that they don't know the answer because they don't want to look dumb in front of their peers or their manager. So I try to take that objection and just, hand-holding and say, all right, so what can we do together? And if it's a time, I have 4 projects and I just can't get to it, great. Let me start the ball rolling, get my implementation ready, we're going to do this, right? Wonderful. So if there's any other questions that you have, Tricia, let's just walk through that process. Let's go out to coffee, and you're going to be able to help me get the signature, correct? Great.
You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so Wade, one thing I would do is if I don't feel that they can commit to that project right now to a successful completion because they don't have the time, I don't want to no-start.
Right.
I follow Jeff's rule and move on. Move on to another deal that you can close right now, and that'll come back to you. It will eventually, unless you're in a competitive situation or, whatever, but if it's something where you've ruled out and said, okay, is there any other reason why you're not going to go with me? Sometimes you just have to wait, move on to something else you can close now. I don't spend a lot
understanding that and what you're dealing with. You touched on something that was kind of important, and I was gonna say this is, when you're dealing with people, please be aware of their surroundings. He mentioned coffee. If you see a coffee mug on their desk, I mean, I know you guys like do these drop things or whatever. You need to be aware of their surroundings. Went out with a broker on a client. He's like, I've been trying to get through this one. I can't get through there. Maybe you'll do better. Walked in the office, did a quick observation of the pictures of the puppies on the wall and a couple other things, and we sat down. We started talking. I said, you know, I just feel like I'm running this morning. My Chihuahua, she just wanted to be a bitch this morning, and I'm just so tired of her. And all of a sudden, we had this relationship, and he walked up to the DR. He goes, how do you do that? I said, I just saw the pictures of the dogs on the wall. And I started talking about something that resonated with her. She let her guard down and became a person, not that business executive. And this is like 600 employees. We were in and out in 15 minutes, and he didn't get that. He'd been working on it for a year. I said, trust me, and all the stuff you did over the past year had a lot to do with today's decision. But it really came from observing your surroundings. And not everybody's good at that, but you have to take note of that. So up here, I talked a little bit about the perception is their reality, and everybody has their own. I had them once before, fill in the blank. It's hard dealing with their toll-free number, but we won't talk about that. You guys are working on that. A lot of work to implement. I think you need to prepare them for that. By the way, you guys got so much better. That whole interview thing online, phenomenal, because it tells you when you haven't done something. I love it.
What's not good?
About the implementation.
Everything.
Well,
I want to know because a lot of this is getting out of order, right? Like you said, you know, anticipate the no's.
so you come out and do a demo with, like, let's say Workforce Now, and it has that whole cover page, and you guys have done it up with their logo and everything else. I'm dealing with one of your clients, I'm doing their implementation, I'm like, how do I make that front page look like that? And I called Jennifer and said, can you make that front page look like that? I said, I can figure out how to do it, but hell, why don't you just pop your demo thing on the front page? And I would say it was a little bit of frustration because it was just so much to do. But I'm prepared for that because I know any other client may not be prepared for that.
So,
I mean, any little thing that can be done from the back end, like just go ahead, get permission to use your logo and pop it in like the demo, and then tell them all this can be edited, you've taken away a lot of the frustration right there.
by the way, you talk about the client interview, the first thing you gotta fill out.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest, right out, and that's the biggest single complaint we get from clients about, because it's like 22 hours to complete it or something like that. I don't know, but,
And you get nagged by an implementation manager if you don't do it, and they copy everybody.
Yeah, so what we agreed on our leadership, we agreed in our leadership meeting, everybody, is they're actually gonna print out the client interview and give it to us on printouts that we're gonna be able to leave behind so they can prepare for the client interview in advance. So it's the only reason that we don't have it today is because the client interview is gonna be changing just a little bit, because it's SIG. There's all SIG as we talked about, it, simplify, innovate, and grow, like our new process. So, we'll be able to drop that out. Here you go, first thing you're gonna do is this client interview, here's all the questions so you can start preparing for us.
Right, and I think that's very important because I think as you guys are doing your SIG, you're forgetting about the generational behaviors. I'm a baby boomer. I mean, I think I'm an X or Y because I like to go online and do a lot of that stuff. But good old paper would have done a hell of a good for me in the very beginning. And so when you're dealing with your clients, you also need to recognize, do they like paper or not? You know, and it's just understanding the generational differences and how they're going to deal with that interview. But it's okay. I mean, I got frustrated when it asked me for job codes, and I don't want to use job codes. And it kept saying, interview not complete. And then I got the email saying, you're not complete. And I'm like, but I want to use job codes. How do I get around that? They go, well, if you read. I go, you just told me to read. I'm so done. But it was okay. It's so much better. It's so much better than what it was. Yes.
Yeah, Tricia, I just had a couple questions about the implementation and, what are your suggestions for setting the, proper expectations with, the people that are going to be doing the implementation? And, I've also had a couple cases too, kind of going to your type A personality point where, you have one HR person that wants to do the entire implementation, and it always backfires. And I, suggest I'm like, hey, you need to delegate, some of these tasks. And no, I got it. And literally, I mean, I have, HR people come back to me, and, telling me the exact opposite of what I told them you know, during the sales process, oh, I thought there was gonna be someone here on site during the first call,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
It seems like that though. When I was in a presentation from beginning to end, and I'm like, I had to ask, you guys send somebody out here? They go, no, we never said that. I'm like, okay, it's the language barrier. It's that accent that's happening between ADP language and client language and HR language, because I completely captured the same thing. I said, oh, so I have an implementation manager coming on site. I mean, you guys are around the block, right? They go, no, they're gonna, I'll go, oh, okay, didn't get that. I think you need to speak more in their language, depending on who's in the room. If it's two women and it's HR and it's payroll, or just HR, and say, you know, okay, we're gonna build a house. And we're gonna decorate it however you want. And we're gonna start with making sure the carpet's right. And then we're gonna buy some furniture. We might need to move the furniture around a little bit. But we have to build a house at the same time, if not, we're not gonna have a roof. So we're gonna put furniture in the house as we go. You need to use analogies that they're gonna understand, because you guys are speaking in a different language. You could walk up to any woman and say, you know, I'm gonna build a custom house for you, and she's gonna go, really? How big is my closet? So, yeah, I got all the women laughing, but it's about speaking in that language so they better understand what implementation looks like, because that's a big, scary word. Because, yes.
That point, I mean, one of the best ones I ever heard for an analogy wise, for the LA architect, you know, was relating it to moving. You know, everyone here can move. Pain in the ass. You pack up all your boxes, you get expensive stuff to carry stuff, and you got pizza, and you buy beer, then you have to bed bath and beyond for 2 weeks, because you lost all your stuff to move, but you do it to get to a better place. It's the same thing with communication. Things are gonna go wrong, there's gonna be hurt, there's gonna be fires. But at the end of the day, you're doing it to get to something that's better than where you are now.
And I think that's great to use with men, especially baby boomers. You might say, a woman, let's move, she might go, oh my God, you're gonna lose my MAC makeup, that's not gonna happen. So, I guess you can have each client, I can't put everybody in a box, but you have to use analogies. When you see them having the look, you need to use an analogy that fits for them. I think any man, whether a boomer, X or Y, that whole moving analogy, perfect. Women building a house, or buying a new set of MAC makeup, or Bobbi Brown, or whatever it is, or getting some new shoes, and you want the perfect black ones to go with that perfect outfit, how you have to shop around, and then you want the perfect leather, and then you want the soles to be red. So, it's about using analogies that, for you men in the room, will be first to the top, and the bottom of the sole is red. Like $400 shoes, just so you understand, but every woman gets that very quickly. So, it's about building and designing it around them, and they become the custom designer of their system. So I think the client interview is great. Your CFOs, office managers, CEOs, they're all about the price. And recently, actually, Adam and I were on a conference call with this executive that has like, he's a venture capitalist, he has like 15 different companies. He says, you know, I have ADP in all my other companies, I just can't seem to control the cost. I said, well, yeah, it is. It's easy, it's very easy to calculate. He says, well, I just feel like I'm getting nickel and dime. He's not. He didn't understand that as employees fluctuate, the price is just going to change. And there's an easy cross-check on that. He says, yeah, they told me I'm going to get a discount, it's not fair. I said, well, did you call customer services? Yeah, I told my girl to do it, but she just complains. Very interesting dynamic. Did I capture that right, Ashley? Because the first thing we said, we're going to be taking over a couple of businesses, and they said, well, we're going to outsource the payroll. Can you guys do that? I said, yeah, we'll probably put ADP in place, and he went off on ADP. And I said, I don't think you should look at it that way. There's a reason why they pay 1 in 6 Americans. It's a reason why that system actually takes the need away from having outsourced HR, because we're going to be doing is outsourced HR. So, well, if you have ADP, you only need us for a couple of months, because ADP is going to do the rest. So once it's all set up, you're good to go. You don't need us. Call us if you need us. By the time you call us, you probably need an attorney anyway. So, very cool. And that's a standard line that we use, that we'll set you up so that you function right and have all the paperwork and everything's going. And depending on the size of your organization, you know, we've come across organizations that have 800 employees growing to a couple of thousand, and they have the 2 weakest HR people I've ever met in my life. And they reached out to me going, oh my God, help us. We were thinking about moving from ADP. I said, you don't have it deployed right. They go, really? But they won't tell their executives that. They just complain about it. I looked at it, and they didn't do anything beyond the initial interview to the system. That's why it doesn't work. They didn't do anything. You know, they expect it to be perfect. So there's that understanding of what they want their house to look like, and that after the house has been delivered, they get to move the furniture around, make it the way that they want, change the carpet color if they want, change the paint a couple of times if they want. It's about designing that system to spit out the reports that they need. So, we talked already about this type A personality thing, so I don't think I need to go back say, so you need to manage that when you're in a meeting. You need to manage that everybody sitting there has that same personality. HR can hide it. The CEO lets it comes out, let it come out. The CFO, he wants to talk in numbers. The HR person wants to talk in people. And that's one other thing, critical part. Type A personalities have two brains. Everybody does, left and right. HR tends to hang out on the right side, the visionary side, the pretty colors, flowers, and in the cafeteria side. The CFO, CEO hang out on the left side of the brain where everything needs to be numbers and lines and statistics and everything else. You need to understand those dynamics when you're presenting. Many times when you guys do presentation or give out materials, it's very well done by your marketing department. It has both left and right brains left. But when you're talking, make sure you're talking both brains. They need to understand the vision, the visual of what does this look like. If not, if you ever have your clients asking you, well, what is this going to look like? They're definitely a right brain and they don't get it. They don't know what it's going to look like in the end. So the whole HR speak, will this be cost effective for our organization? That's what we say. I heard ADP's expensive. That's really what's happening there. And I don't know if we can afford it. Because many HR people understand they have a budget, they just don't know how to stay in the constraints of the budget. My husband puts me on one, I never stay within it. I had ADP before. How do you make this experience better than the past? And I think you need to talk to your technology and the changes you make to your technology to make it better every single time around. Because I don't think there's any HR person that's been in the business more than 10 years or 5 years that hasn't worked on ADP. I need a system that will do the reporting I need for the C-suite. I need it easy, fast, accurate, that make me look good with the C-suite. Just want it easy, fast. Reports were not that easy before. We like our current payroll system. I know how to use it. It's our current system. I don't want to learn anything new. We need to get past that barrier. You need to say, I understand that HR is all about continuing education. I'm sure you're part of Sherman. You do your continued education. And we have new things. You need to put it back on them so they start thinking about change. And we know that change management is part of your responsibilities here in the organization. Well, this is kind of one of those change management things that we represent to you. Make it part of their project, speak in their language, and they'll embrace it more. We can take a look at this later in the year. Not a priority for me right now. Talking to what you said, maybe they might have other priorities. And the thing that I love the most, being in HR so long, I was very good at calling up service providers after 9 months. Say, okay, let's go. Can you have it done by Monday? And on the other end, they're just like, and you need to make sure that when you're communicating, they have an understanding of how long implementation actually takes. Because they are thinking that you're going to flip a switch, it's on, it's going to look just like the demo. And that's not how it really happens. You're building a house, a custom home for them. So what HR wants, they want the job security, easier processing reports, a system that works like the demo. Just remember, that's the pretty picture, that's the demo home you showed them. They want everything that came with the demo. Time-saving processes, knowledgeable help, customer service that speaks HR. I was just telling her, I said, I wish everyone in customer service worked in payroll before or actually went to HR school so they can understand the language when you call and you ask for something. Work with me, not around me. And that's for your higher level HR people. They're control mongers because they're trying to protect their job. CFO, wage structure that's affordable for the company. Something, I know your fiscal year, I think ends June 30th, am I right? June 30th. So every year around April, May, I get this lovely letter saying, your rates are going to go up by 2%. And the lovely VP guy, I hope I'm not sure, but anyway, I don't remember his name, but I would send the letter back going, they're in your conferences every June. You're sending me a rate increase. I'm just going to go shopping for the system. Really, is that what you want? It's like, I didn't understand that, why people don't put 2 and 2 together. The biggest conference in the nation happens every single June, but the rate increases come out 2 months before that. It's almost like pushing your clients away. I know it may not be something that can change, but I think it's something that you need to be cognizant of. Every time I do something with any service provider, I ask for a 2 to 3 year rate lock. How will you help me meet the company financial goals? Reliability, predictability, transparency, strategic communications, and education. Once the CEO and CFO sign off on this, they're kind of out of the picture anyway. Very quickly, who are you online? If you don't have an online presence, then that's not good. I usually Google everybody that comes to see me that I have an appointment with. I do some research on them. I know more about them when they're walking around. Yes? Oh, sorry. So in the end, this is what the meeting ends like. Work with ADP before, this is going to be an easy transition. wow, this is like another HR person in HR, we need to do this now, this is gonna be great stats that I need. And that's kind of the change in the mentality when you take in all the personalities in the room, and I'm sure we'll give you copies of this slide so you can see it. So, I did the fastest 5 minutes ever. So, any questions while I have 3 minutes left? Yes.
It's the first time I've heard, not the first time, but that you profile people that want to work with you. What is it that you're looking for? What can I put within my LinkedIn, my toolbox that's going to speak to you? All right, I'll give away 15 minutes or 5 minutes or.
Everybody's ADP profile should say something like successfully working with HR professionals across the nation and within my territory, member of SHRM, with the Pirate last year, just all the buzzwords that we like to see, because that's all we're going to see is the buzzwords. It needs to have something. It can't be sales executive, sales this, district manager. It can't. It's good to have that language for somebody that's looking to hire you in sales, but if you're looking for HR looking you up, they want to see what's important to them. So it needs to be something about HR. Successfully working with HR companies across the nation, 500 to 1,000, et cetera, things like that.
Would you accept a LinkedIn invitation from an ADP sales rep? I know your personality is that you work with us, but would that be something that you would
Most
see?
people would not. Most HR people would not, because they think that, ask yourselves, if you talk about a salesperson, what's the first word that comes to mind? Pushy, talkative, wants to sell me something. That's the mentality that's thinking what's happening on LinkedIn. So you need to brand yourself differently by going to the group so people start to see your name and understand who you are. And there are some that will accept it if they've locked down their contacts. I'm connected to close to 2,000 HR people online. All my contacts are locked down. But I guess you need to have an online persona. Many people haven't done the whole LinkedIn thing. And if you have a Facebook or personal one, make sure that sucker's locked down. I've gone on some salespeople sites and they're just like, woohoo! I'm like, yeah, this is good. Right? You want to make sure that no one can get at that stuff, but you do want them to see that you're a person. You can put on there like, puppies, rescue dogs. That's what she says.
Question?
Yes.
Before you agreed to the meeting, you got paychecks, you're happy, all those problems, what do I need to say to me to say? What else do we do?
I know part of HR is change management, and I know there's many things and technology changes out there that you don't know, and I know you've heard of ADP, but I'd love to show you what's come out in our new technology that's really evolved in human resource professionals. Make it about them. It's about their evolution or their extinction if they don't want to listen. Any more questions? Yes.
I know we're pressed for time, but can you just share some feedback on communicating with a CEO or a C-level when they really don't have adequate HR in place? But without kind of bashing their organization or the HR team, do you still want them on your side?
Well, you want to make their company special because all of them are different and you don't have a solution for all, but you really do. And you talk about, the type of organization you have. I know that you have special needs as far as talent and software and how they have to integrate with the two. And I know you have an HR department, I'm not sure what their skill set is, and I'm sure you're very happy. You need to gauge them at that point.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell by their body language, are they open to hearing more? And if they are, go in for the kill. Say, obviously I've worked with HR people across the community, and there's some strengths and weaknesses in there all, but I see that, you might need to look at some more change management, strategic thinking, things like that. Because all these things were presented to her a year ago, but she wasn't really willing to engage and listen. And it's really uncomfortable for me having this conversation. But I feel like I owe it to a successful company and business leader to at least share that opinion with you.
Thank you.
You want to become that business partner so that when their HR person does go, they're calling you and saying, you need somebody. Anything else?
More questions? Is that pretty good?
Yeah.